Coming up this week on the Just Lifestyle Show 892, we've got a new ring for Windows inside this test, Canary. What does that mean? And a little gotcha that Richard missed, but I informed him of. We'll be talking about the other changes for Windows 11, some new features coming, which looks really interesting. Got another retro feature, got some EV news, and lots more. So let's get to Garry and Richard. Richard, good evening.
Good evening, Ian. How are you?
Okay, good. And you had a week off last week for your birthday. We did give you a little happy birthday shout out. We didn't sing, but we did give you a shout
I was very sad not to hear any singing, but Microsoft gave me a great present for my birthday, which I was very happy about.
Oh, what was that?
iPhone integration.
Oh, yes, we did actually talk about that last week.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame Garry isn't around right now, because I was trying to work out how it's been done. I'm guessing it must be some sort of, I don't know, CarPlay type thing, because it's not full integration. It's just some messages and some contacts and stuff. So it feels as though you're almost attaching it to your PC as though it's a car or something like that.
Yeah.
But alas, even though I am running a preview, an insider build, I don't actually. I've not got it yet, sadly.
Okay, right, yeah, because you get I think on my machines, I got the little thing saying you're coming soon.
Yeah,
but
mine too.
I haven't got an iPhone, but to try it with. But yeah, so they are rolling out pretty slowly, I think.
Yeah, it's a shame, really, because it's for me, it would be brilliant if that works. Although there are some fairly substantial limitations. I mean, one thing being, I don't think you can do group messages, can you?
I don't think so, no. And there's nothing like this, the integration there is with the Android one, like apps and copy and paste clipboards and links, and it's not. But it's a lot better than it was before.
It is, well, exactly. I mean, if this works, it'd be great, because it's one of the things that I really do, enjoy. When I'm using my Mac, is the iPhone integration, being able to just see messages. So this, I think, will be great if it works as I hope it works. But as I said, while clipboard and app sharing I'm not that bothered about, it would be. I'm not quite. I don't understand fully why it doesn't support group messages yet.
Yeah, and I suspect you're right though about it being similar to the way that CarPlay works.
Yeah,
so it's whether you could get that in your car.
Exactly, it's going to be however Apple tends to. It's however Microsoft can dodge around Apple's limitations.
Yeah, I wonder how much.
Or restrictions, rather.
Apple.
Sorry.
Yeah, I wonder whether they've gone. This is of their own initiative, or they've managed to work with Apple on it. My guess is that it's just they've worked around the limitations, like you said, or restrictions.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be a case of how can the demo, because it was such a gaping hole in the function of phoning. But also, I have to say, I'm quite pleased to see PhoneLink getting some love as well, because I was concerned it was starting to sort of drift off into the weeds a bit. But very happy to see this fairly major change.
Yeah, it's good. It's one of the useful apps recently, one of the newer things in Windows, isn't it, that's actually quite useful, and especially with text messages. I found it really useful because you can reply
exactly
in line and as they arrive, rather than having to go and get your phone or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find it useful. That I don't tend to use the calling or other features like that, but yeah, I do. I suppose I could set that up, because but I tend to have two separate headsets. I have one headset on my work laptop and one on my personal laptop, which has got the phone link on. So we're swapping headsets. But yeah, it is good though. It is good to have that integration, especially pictures and things like that. So
yeah, I mean, it's obviously a shame it only works over Bluetooth as well, which I think that's unfortunate, because I mean, Bluetooth often is not the most straightforward of things to get working without being too, especially on a PC. So and unfortunately well, actually no, I'll let you know if it ever appears as an option that works on my Windows dev kit ARM-based PC, which is now running Insider, although only dev channel. But I think it's the PhoneLink thing is for anyone who's using a preview. It's for any preview build, isn't it? It's not just a Canary or dev channel or beta. It's anyone.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. And just see how you get on with that, because the Android one does use Wi-Fi as well, rather than just Bluetooth. So it looks like they're not using Wi-Fi on that.
This is why I suspect they're using some kind of thing, much like how you connect a car to it. I mean, this is pure speculation on my part, but the fact it is over Bluetooth, I'm wondering if it is basically working the way, if you were connecting it to another screen in some way. So that's their workaround.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, we'll see how you get on with that.
Yeah, well, when they turn it on, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned about and as if by magic. Good evening.
Good evening. Sorry about being late. Some technical issues with Teams.
Oh, well, that's
Heaven
a real
forbid.
surprise.
Heaven forbid that there should be
indeed.
issues with Teams, even though it's been a good few years now and Teams still doesn't work quite how one would expect.
Especially with multiple tenants.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of always it's always the conferencing platform that no one's happy to get linked to unless you're within the same organization.
Yeah, well, like I use it in the same organization and never have any issues, but I think, Gary, you have a few more. Yeah.
Well, I have a few more organizations I'm members of, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you could join us. Your Wi-Fi sounds better this week.
Yes, I'm playing a bit with something, so it seems to be working a lot better.
Yeah, that's good. Now, we just finished talking about the phone link, and we mentioned about you have to be on insider builds, and I wanted to talk about the changes to the Windows Insider program that are coming up. Well, in fact, have rolled out already, and what that means for Windows and why they've done it. So, first of all, Richard, what's new?
Canaries. So I mean, as for why, I think it's because the day's got a Y in it. So Microsoft has changed the channels again. I mean, I think it's actually to be, to make it more similar to other insider programs that Microsoft runs. But yeah, so there's the new Canary channel and what they're calling the Dev channel rebooted. So the Canary is going to be where they're going to it's kind of the bleeding edge, really bleed. I mean, that's what we always thought the Dev channel was, but the Canary I think is going to be even more bleeding edge. They'll be banging out builds which may not have had anywhere near the level of testing. So there's a huge health warning over it, where they're throwing out just as code, which could easily brick your PC. They've advised it's for technical users only, which I think is the correct thing to do. It's where you will see new stuff, which again we'd hope we'd see on Dev channel, but we haven't really seen that much. But the proviso is, again, this is really untested stuff. So it's going to be just things they're playing with. They're going to bung it out there. So I mean, maybe it's a reaction to all the things that people are finding in Dev channel builds that perhaps Microsoft hadn't planned to be out there. The other key thing is they've said there'll be no blog posts, or not necessarily a blog post when there's releases of Canary. So Canary releases could happen more frequently than Dev channel. I mean, not daily, but certainly a lot more frequently. And there may be no release notes to go with it. Although, to be frank, a lot of those release notes are fairly useless anyway, if I'm entirely honest. Sadly, while the Dev channel was being, they're saying it's going to be rebooted from the ground up, it looks like you still can't avoid the annoying A/B test, and that's going to carry on by looks of it.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, they mentioned that, didn't they?
Which is, I think that's a real shame, because I've always found that very frustrated. As an insider, you want to play with these new things. You want, that's what you're there to do. And Microsoft, no, you can't have that, but you can have that. Seems to be a bit.
Yeah. To be honest, as a dev, A/B testing is really useful. So I can get why they want to do A/B testing. Maybe they need another channel for allowing A/B testing. But
yeah, please no more new channels. So yes, I can certainly see from their standpoint why they do want to have some people playing with new stuff, some people not playing, so some people not getting new stuff, so they can see what the effects are. But equally, I think as an insider, you'd find that quite frustrating to be, much like we're discussing the phone link stuff just now. It's a shame that, again, it's being rolled out so slowly because it means we're not all getting it. The other thing, I think it's the build numbers are different, aren't they? I think Canary is going to get 25,000 series build numbers.
Yeah.
And then I think Dev Channel is going to be on 23,000, and then Beta's on 22,000, and then release preview is obviously whatever the current version of Windows 11 or Windows 10 is. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm optimistic because again, it's always good to play with new toys. I think we have to give a really clear health warning about this to say, Canary Channel. It really does sound as though there's going to be some builds on there that could easily brick your PCs and require a reinstall of Windows. And not to complain if you choose to be in that channel and you get your brick PC. I don't think they're automatically moving anyone to Canary, are they?
Yes, they are.
They are. Okay, they are.
Yeah. So if you're on Dev now, you get moved to Canary. Although I'll check my machine, but my virtual machine, but
that's the one thing I don't like about this process is this automatic move from Dev to Canary.
Well, and there's a reason they've had no choice.
Yeah, I know they've got no choice, but it's still gonna. It then puts a lot of people at risk.
They are going to shut. Okay, that's not good. I hadn't realised that.
Yeah, well, it's because the Canary builds are going to be 25000 and above, but we're currently on 250. What we on 25309 in the Dev channel. You can't go backwards. You've never been able to go backwards. So if you stay on Dev channel, let's say that you somehow stayed on the Dev channel, you're going to have to wait a long time before the Dev channel gets to 2.5 series. So that is why they said they're moving people forward. However, I said that my machine still hasn't picked up the change, but yeah, it says there, you can see the quote from Microsoft, we're going to be moving these insiders to the Canary channel starting today. So the option's there. It's just on mine it wasn't selected by default, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. That's what they are doing.
So if you get moved, do you still, if you want to choose not to have Canary and you want to be in the Dev, does that mean you're going to have to do a clean reinstall?
Yeah. But you can't go backwards. You can never go backwards, can you, with build numbers? It's only when they're in the same build range. So at the moment, you can switch between.
Yeah, I must admit,
Dev and Beta. You can switch between Beta and Release Preview because they're actually synced at the moment.
Okay, so shunting people into Canary, that's not good.
Yeah. So if you build a new machine, stick it on the Dev channel, you'll get the 300 builds. That's no problem. But if you have got a Dev build machine, then you're going to go on. You're going to have to go to the Canary channel. Otherwise, like I say, you're kind of orphaned, really. But then the Dev channel has always been the highest level, apart from Skip Ahead, which we had a few years ago. Which this makes me think of just Skip Ahead. Really, it is Skip Ahead, isn't it? Just a rebranded version of Skip Ahead. So if you take the risk by going on the Dev channel, essentially it's the same risk, maybe a little riskier, but you still have that potential.
I think it's riskier because they're going to chuck these Canary builds out without documentation potentially, whereas Dev channel builds always had documentation.
Yeah. So if you don't want Canary, you've not got a lot of choice, really.
Okay. Well, I must admit I hadn't fully understood that. That's really bad, actually. Then okay, because okay. I mean, I know insiders are going to be pleased to have access to more toys, but as I say, that they have been very clear about the Canary channel potentially bricking your PC and requiring a reinstall. So and going out without documentation, and they could be going any time. So it's that's should really give people a choice before you move them onto that. Surely.
Well, the only way to do that would be to give them the choice before they went to the 2.5, which was about a year ago or whatever.
I mean, unless they made the Canaries 2.6s.
Yes, that's the other way of doing it.
I mean, what they've done is basically, it sounds like the Dev channel as we know it now is being rebranded as Canary and getting scary stuff, and then they're rebooting, as they say, the Dev channel, at a earlier build point. But okay, what do you think about this, Garry?
Yeah, I'm not keen on this. I think I can't see any way they could have done it, but I'm not keen on it at all because I think it's really dangerous for some people who've been sitting in the Dev channel because the dev channel, yeah, there was always a risk it was going to break things, but you knew to some extent when that was going to happen because of the stuff which was out there. Whereas Canary, you could happen overnight, and you got an unusable machine. And there's quite a few people who sit in the dev channel using it because it's actually been fairly stable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Microsoft would say no, you shouldn't do that. You should never trust a machine you're going to be relying on to do it, and more so than ever now. So yeah, but I think the fact they've done this with no notice and virtually no notice anyway. I mean, probably should have given them 4 or 5 weeks and actually had a route to get out of dev into one of the other channels.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you've no choice. So what I've ended up doing is building another virtual machine for dev, and then my dev channel machine it goes to Canary. So actually, what I did, I cloned my beta machine, put that on dev, and then that'll get the 2.3 builds, and then I'll get the higher build on the newer ones. I've got my machine running now, so I can show you the settings in case you've not seen them. Let's share that. Okay, so here's my inside a preview machine. See, you've got Canary. It's grayed out because I've just dropped the RAM, so I can start it up with all the recording stuff running. But yeah, so mine it's on Canary now because I flicked it over, but it was stuck on. It was on dev initially, but the WinVer on this is whatever it's last wheel, isn't it? 25309. So it's in that Canary channel whether you like it or not. I have another theory, but that one of the reasons why they've done it this way is, and I've no evidence to back this up with, so it's nice unfounded speculation, but I suspect that this is for Windows 12 testing, because if you notice on the announcements, they never mention the Windows version on any of the pictures or the charts or whatever. For all the other ones, they mention Windows versions. So I suspect that we've heard rumors that Windows 12 is coming in. Microsoft even said that they're on 3-year development cycles. So maybe even if it's not necessarily called Windows 12, but the next big update to Windows, which I think would be sort of 24 something, wouldn't it? 24 H1 or H2, or also called Windows 12 if they want to change the branding. That would be in the Canary channel. Dev channel is all the bits and pieces that are being tested for Windows 11. Beta is the stuff that's about to come. Release preview is the stuff that's coming. I think that's how they're going to do it. So whenever they're ready to try Windows 12, if indeed they call it that, then they'll drop into that Canary channel. And now they've got a mechanism for testing that, which, if you remember back to Windows 11, we were testing Windows 11 features under the Windows 10 branding for what, a good 6 months, maybe more.
Yep.
And that was using the dev channel. I think they got rid of the skip ahead then, haven't they? But yeah, but I mean, under the Garry could probably explain better. But under the hood, they've separated things out now, haven't they? So there's the kernel, and then there's all the features, and it's the kernel that this is, I think, for testing, isn't it? The core APIs and things like that.
Yeah.
So so if the APIs, the kernel changes, the NI _release, that changes to something else, that can be used in the Canary channel, and it gives them the dev channel to test out features for Windows 11. But so that's my theory, that Windows 12 or whatever the next major release is, it might be called Windows 10 24H2 or something like that, will pop up into this channel within the next, say, 6 months. Because if 2024 is correct, then it's got to be pretty soon to start testing. When did we get Windows 11? Was it 6 months before the release?
A little bit longer, wasn't it? But maybe
yeah.
not much longer.
Yeah. So I'll ask Bing. But yes, that's what I think they'll do. Anyway, they've now got a channel for testing Windows 12 or the next version of Windows.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. All seems plausible. I mean, as I say, my theory is because it's got, yeah, the day's got a Y in it. So let's change the inside of chat channel again. But I mean, oh, the whole idea about people being booted into Canary is really worrying me. I mean, I must admit I hadn't fully understood that, and that's really made me concerned because, as Garry says, people are accustomed to dev channel working a certain way, and they're going to be bounced from there with no warning, it seems, to the Canary. And Canary is, the APIs can change. It's a great thing to play with, but I must admit, yeah, and it's going to happen with no way back. So, yeah.
Now, according to Bing, I think these dates ring just about right. The first beta of Windows 11 was the 29th of July 2021, and the release date was the 5th of October 2021. So they announced it in June 2021. So if they follow that pattern, actually, it could be, that actually means we could be testing it. And if they're not, it's not due till next year, then we might not hear anything this year until maybe like late, even late into next year, maybe next summer, before we hear anything about Windows 12, and then it pops up at the end of the year, and we've all been testing the bits in the meantime.
I can't wait to see the hardware requirements for Windows 12.
Yeah, my guess it'll be exactly the same as Windows 11, but you never know. They could whack that up for no apparent reason. Yeah, well, it's interesting stuff. I hope it means we get to try some more things. We have complained about these especially the dev builds, being actually quite stable and not too much stuff in there recently. But we did get something new in the new build. We got the new audio mixer in the dev channel build.
Oh yes, this is the one in 25309.
Yeah.
So this is well, I mean, you've always been able to do this kind of stuff in Windows. I think it's just always been a bit convoluted to get to. Whereas they've shoved the mixer into quick settings, so you basically change audio on a per app basis and swap devices and all kinds of exciting things. And it's a nice tool, I think. Actually,
it's much better than it was. It was pre-buried before.
It was very buried before, and it also wasn't in a particularly nice way. It's still there, but it's not in the nicest of UI styles. Whereas this collates everything into one place. You can say, okay, here's the volume I want for these apps. Here's the devices that I want to use. It's great. It's very nice. It's fine. I mean, I think it's was it Windows Control and V also brings it up as well. So you can call this up using keyboard. So it's a handy thing to have, because it is a pain when you're trying to when you got, say, headphones plugged in and speakers, you can't work out why things aren't working and which app is doing what. It's a nice little widget.
There's the volume mixer. I'll find if I open up.
I mean, I should say I haven't seen it yet because it's not available to all insiders in the dev channel.
All right,
because they're rolling it out slowly.
Well, I did quite well, because normally I don't get these, but I don't know any. I've shared my window with this on. I've got a little insider's joke there on the title bar. Windows 12 Canary, I've called it, but there you go. So I've got some. I don't know whether that will start showing up. Yeah. It's not registered yet, so let's trigger some music off. So this is so I'm playing some music from Spotify, and there you go. So there's the volume mixer. So there's the system audio, and there's the volume for Spotify. And if I loaded another media tab, or your browser or media player, they would all appear on there, so you get to control them, which I think which is the old UI, I think, dated from Vista, wasn't it, Garry? The old media
it did, it goes way back.
Yeah, and there you've got the output device. So mine, this is a virtual machine, but there you'd have your different sound sources as well, your sound output. So if you've got headphones, media adapter or something like that, they would all appear. And as you said, Richard, there's a little thing, Windows Control V to bring that up.
Yep.
So yeah, it's nice to see a new feature. So that's it. That's currently in the dev channel, but of course that's actually a Canary channel feature now. So you might never see it at all ever.
I hope we do, because it's a very useful thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure it can't. I'm sure it'll make its way rapidly into beta and release pre.
Yeah, they do seem to be getting. That's the other thing, though. They're not sitting in these channels for months and months and months. They are actually pushing them forward, aren't they? Now, and we've got this latest update.
Yeah,
I think we did have a beta channel build last week, 22624, which had extra voice access commands, and I think that was it, really, wasn't it? Yeah, there wasn't a huge amount in it, but yeah, in-app help pages were redesigned, so not a huge amount in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens with these new builds now. So we'll see how much testing. I'd like to. Hopefully, we just get less A/B testing. That's my only request.
Yeah, A/B testing is, because, as I say, I've not got that on my builds, on my dev channel build, but I've still waiting for phone link to start working too with the iPhone. So yeah, I do find A/B testing very frustrating right now. Now I'm being bitten by it, and I want that toy. I can't have it. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was all the Windows Insider news. I did have another video published, which is changing track completely, but might be of interest. I mentioned in the past about having an old synth, with the one behind me down there, the Gen SX1000. So I actually did a little video of it, a little sound demo of it. So if anybody's interested, so this is definitely not USB or Windows compliant. This is the 1977 Gen SX1000 that I've had, as I mentioned before, I've had since 80. I think it was about 86 or something like that. I bought.
It's got a magnificently wooden case there.
It has, yes, with a few scratches and things. Actually, the scratches before I got it, its condition has been kept pretty much the same since I got it in 80. Was it college? Maybe 88, something like that. I picked up. This has got a wonky key on the top end, which has had the wonky key also since 1988. I actually picked this up for 30 quid in 1988, which was quite a lot when I was at college.
Yeah.
But that was at a time when analog synthesizers like this were being virtually given away, because everyone was getting into the new DX7s and later into that time the D50s and everything else, and so they had no value. But now it's completely flipped around, and these things are not particularly this gen, but if you've got an old analog synth from the 70s, it'll be worth a fortune now. This gen was actually a budget keyboard at the time when it came out in 78, and actually sold in the K's catalogue. And if you remember K's catalogues and
Very
all those
well.
kind of things, yes. So you could get it, whatever it was, £1.50 for 52 weeks or something like that, which I think is probably how a lot of these sold. There's no MIDI on it. There's no USB. There's no inputs, outputs. There's just literally an audio output and a big red switch on the back, and that's it. But it's actually interesting technology. It has got a digital chip in it, actually, that produces the waveforms, and it goes through all the analog circuitry, which means it stays in tune, as a lot of 70s synths didn't. So it was a bit ahead of its time on that. But I think when it went on sale, for £210 in the Case catalogue, which I suppose in 1978 was quite a bit, really.
It was.
Yeah. Especially if you're asking your mum to buy it from the Case catalogue. I wouldn't have asked my mum for one in 1978. But it's got quite a nice sound to it. It's got, it's monophonic. It's a one note at a time. It's got single. There's no other oscillators, but it has got some nice envelope controls. It's actually a good synth to learn on, because these dials are pretty logically laid out, and actually, because there's only a few of them, there's no menus, there's no hidden. You don't need a manual for it. If you try to learn the principles of subtractive synthesis, it's a really good device. So anyway, I did a little thing off there, and I also did a check to see how much it was worth. And on Reverb, I don't know if you've heard of the Reverb site. for selling second-hand musical instruments.
Not at all.
It's like eBay. It's a big multinational thing. It's like eBay, but specifically for musical instruments. They have a bit more protection in them. Seller buyer protection in the over eBay. But it's exactly the same thing. But you can bid, and I think you can have there's actual retail prices. But I found one of these Gen SX 1000s for 1,200 quid and one for 1,000 quid. I don't think mine would get that with having the broken key, and I think these people are a little bit. These prices are a little bit silly considering what it is, but I don't think mine's worth that. But I wouldn't sell it anyway. But yeah, I gave it a clean up a while ago as well with some contact cleaner. Quite a lot of contact cleaner on those pots that are on there to stop them being noisy. But anyway, it's a nice little synth, and I've got a little demo and a little song made complete with it as well, with the aid of a drummer, a little 50-second song that I made to go with it as well. So check that out if you're interested. So that's the first one. What I'm probably going to do a few of these videos of things that I've got that somebody might be interested in. You never know. I've got another one coming out later this week as well. It's another unit that not many people bought. I got it sometime in the 80s as well. So I'll have that one out shortly. It gives it gives me an excuse to get these out and get them all cleaned up and have a play with them. So yeah, not much technology involved in these ones, but they are quite nice to play. Okay, so what else did we have? Okay, that was all the main topics I had. Just to mention as well to Clint Simonson, who said he enjoys listening to the podcast and he listens to them at double speed to get through them. Because he likes to get through them quick, so he listened at double speed. But he said the music still sounds good. So thanks, Clint. I'm not sure that's good or bad. So I think I might start doubling up the speed of my tracks now, so you get some in quad speed.
I'd say double speed is better than half speed, because I occasionally accidentally set podcasts at half speed, and everyone sounds as though they've had a few beers too many.
With the speed I speak at, I always pity anybody listening at double speed.
Yeah, so he must be good for him. So he enjoyed doing it that way. But it depends on the shows actually. I don't think in all the years I've listened to podcasts I've gone through in double speed. Maybe the odd one, but I think because I listen to a lot in the car and it's keeping me entertained while I'm driving, I'm quite happy to I don't want to get through them too quickly, but if you're on a short journey, then I can understand you probably want to get through them that way. Okay, so have you got any other stories?
Actually, I just wanted to thank Gary for the recommendation of a charger, because I've ordered a wall charger for home now, because my EV is due to arrive in the next couple of months. So I've had to bite the bullet and actually order a home charger. And I think Gary recommended the is it Ohm or Ohmies?
Ohm is, I think, how they pronounce it. Yeah, the measurement.
The Home Pro. So I'm very surprised the lead time's really short. It's going to take 2 weeks to arrive and be fitted, and that's it. I mean, I thought I'd be in for months and months and months, but it seems the lead time's a lot shorter than expected. So that was it really. When you get Gary, I mean, what's the state of play with the EV charger market at the moment?
There's some interesting stuff going on at the moment. There seems to be I think I mentioned a couple of weeks back when we had that interview that the move has gone from being a sort of a land grab to more of a power grab, and people are trying to get lot more access to charging. But there's some really interesting stories coming up there. There's a on-street company called ChargeGy, CAHAR.GY, and they actually managed to install 500 charge points in 4 weeks, which is pretty good going, I think.
Wow.
And they're lamppost EV chargers, basically. So this is all around London, Coventry, Leicester, and Buckinghamshire.
But who's maintaining them, Gary? Who's going to do?
Well, that's the interesting on this one, because they actually are maintaining them themselves. So these aren't. So hopefully that will be it. And interestingly, one of the things they've done is actually to do time of day charging on them, which I think is great for this sort of lamppost charging idea. So this is actually quite a good alternative for people who can't, like Richard, get a charger at home, because you can charge overnight at 29p a kilowatt hour, which is really cheap at the moment. Compared to the rest of the costs. I think some people will struggle to get that on their normal domestic electricity supply. So yeah, I think that's a really good side thing, and I think we do need more destination stroke low speed charging as well as the high speed charging. I've often thought that that's actually the most useful type of charging to have at the end of a journey. I think en route, yes, you do need faster charging, but at an end of a journey, be it a supermarket, shopping centre, leisure centre, tourist destination, there should be lots and lots and lots of lowish power charging, because you can actually get that in most places. You can get wherever you can put one high power charger, you can get at least 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 low power chargers, and if you go for one of the super high power chargers, you can get 10 low power chargers. And for what most people do, they go somewhere and they stay there for a little while. It would be really useful if you could charge at that point. I think all car parks should be mandated to have chargers, to be honest, going forward. I think that would be the real answer. But yeah, it's interesting to see this.
I've been very surprised to see, certainly around me, kind of like flats and things being built with new build flats with parking spaces, but no chargers in their spaces. Where I thought it would cost them nothing to basically equip every space with a charger.
Yeah,
and
there is
regulation
out there that new builds are supposed to come prepared for chargers, so you're supposed to put cables in anyway. So why not just put chargers in as well?
But isn't that housing as actual houses as opposed to flats?
No, anywhere with a certain level of car park being built, new car park that is being built, has to put the cabling in. But it is a bit of a woolly regulation, to be honest. There's wiggle room on it.
I think for building, especially to getting permissions for new business, surely that's got to be a requirement now. Business car parks.
Yeah, definitely. I think it ought to be anyway.
Supermarkets like that.
But there's a lot. I mean, I'm hoping there does seem to be movement afoot to try and regulate the charging market a bit better. So let's see what happens there. I'll be carrying on doing my interviews with all the charge point operators over the next few months. So we'll hope to see what they're doing. And there's a lot of new operators coming to the market, which is good.
Well, that's good, because I'll be needing them fairly soon. So it's. I mean, my fear is once the EV arrives, when I do the few long journeys I do per year, where I won't be able to get the car back home within the range, not to pitch up at a charging point and find it out of order.
Yeah. Well, that's where the apps come in useful, and people do report them and that. But hopefully, you won't need to do that, because your car will tell you.
I do hope so. I do hope so. Anyway, but yes. So, but thank you very much for the advice and the tips there. So yes, I have gone for the Home Pro.
Oh, excellent. Well, it's good to hear.
And it will be in I think start of April is when they're going to come.
Well, we'll be interested to how you go with that. Yeah, I mean, the Home app is really good, so I think you'll find that useful, and of course it meets all the new regulations on smart charging. So
yes, and it also appears to integrate in well with my energy provider, because again, being based in the UK, I was a Bulb customer. I've now been moved on to Octopus, and it looks like they're very keen on the Home Pro as well. So there's very good integration there, and if you do sing something like Octopus Agile, it'll just charge when you've got the lowest cost. So it's very good. Well, that. I did see that. I thought, aha, yes, that looks good. So yes, hence 29 pence per kilowatt off. No, it'll be less than that. That's fine.
Yeah, that's good. I'd be interested to see how you get on with it.
I shall let you know.
Right, well, I think that's everything we've got for this week's show. But hopefully we'll have a Canary build to talk about next week. That would be good. Might have Canary, Dev, Beta, and you never know, release preview as well. We could have the whole lot next week. We'll see how many build videos I can do. But it would be nice to see something new and some new features. But you never know. We might not get one this week. Gary, where can we find you?
You can find me in all your usual places. It's usually at Garry WMA at something on on Twitters and Mastodons or whatever, but and also on YouTube as EV owner.
Excellent stuff. And Richard will find you a Mastodon somewhere.
You will indeed, lurking around.
Or building Lego.
Or building Lego, yes, indeed. Yeah, I do have some more Lego to build at the moment, so some more of my Apollo Lego needs to be assembled. I've got a lot of Apollo service modules, but only one Apollo command module though. So I'm going to do some more building.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to measure up, see what I can find, see if I can find some space to put any more equipment in.
Mrs. Dixon will be so pleased.
Oh, I'm sure she will, yeah. So we'll be back same time, same place next week. You can email me at digitallifestyle.com or at iStixon on Twitter, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.